Oh, what's up, YTPC? Uncle Willie coming to you once again from the coop. Some low-flying aircraft. I don't know if you can hear it or not. Sort of loud buzzing in my face. Just give him a minute. There's little Cessnas. Well, I guess it's a Cessna. I'm no aeronautical genius, so I knew my brother-in-law had a Cessna years ago. And I'll tell you about that in a few minutes if you stick around and want to hear about one of my flying adventures. Didn't end well. But anyway, the pipe is my Jocono. Yeah, you gotta say it like that. Jocono. Flamingo. It's a Jocono. Let's see what is that. Jocono, Italy. It's the night. It's a 21. It's a night rustication. Jocono does theirs like pawn, knight, rook, bishop. That's the different levels of their rustication that they put on their pipes. This is just a beautiful rusticated finish that is just, you know, unique. Smooth rimmed on the top. Oh yeah, I got a little striker on the bottom. I don't have a match out here, or I'd show you how that works. But stem is pretty cool. It's really pretty in person. And the shape is a flamingo, as I've showed y'all before. You don't really get it until I put the legs on it. There's his neck and the beak, the body, the legs, the long, skinny legs. Flamingo. So, I was revisiting yesterday a Heinrich blend, the Dark Strong. So I'm smoking another Heinrich blend today. This is the first Heinrich blend that I've ever got. Not this one, but this blend is the Special Curly. And I thought the one I bought said Curly Special, because when I read it and saw Curly Special, it reminded me of that dance, I guess, back from the late 70s or 80s or whenever it was, the Curly Shuffle. Do 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 do. Some of you may know, some of you may not, or I just look like a fool for nothing. But anyway, this is from 21, and it's got, now that I know how to do it, the last letter there is the U. That's the 21st letter in the alphabet, so that makes it from 2021. Inside is these beautiful sugar crystallized on it, beautiful, very consistent coins. Smells absolute delicious. every once in a while, like if you do the breathe in, breathe out, and I'm not talking about the Bush song. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Got a machine head. Now that song's stuck in my head. But if you do that, I get just a remnant of the aroma from Esoterica, Dorchester, and Dunbar. That little ketchupy aroma that they have it strong in theirs, but this is just ever so slightly, if you do the breathe in and breathe out into the tin through your nose. You get just a little. Other than that, I get a little floral. I really get, maybe it's the age on this, being 2 years old now. Well, almost 2 years, year and a half, whatever. I get a little floral almost, but detect no floral in the flavoring. Let's see if I got some laid out here. Try to show you how they look. They're beautiful, very consistent. I can't get my hand flipped around the right way. Maybe, does that help any? Anyway, they're beautiful coins. It's a vapor. Let's get on with the show here. It's a vapor. Sorry. You gotta be looking over here if you want to be involved in this. Come on. Tighten up. The website says it's a vapor, Virginia Perique blend. 10 description. An absolute specialty. The Sweet Virginia spun cut, parentheses, curly cut, will offer you a pleasing smoking experience. Delicately refined with a mild, sweet forest honey aroma. Absolute luxury. That floral could be the honey. But now I wonder if they had to get it, if it's forest honey, did they rob poo? That upset my wife if they took Pooh's honey, because one of her favorite people is Winnie the Pooh. It doesn't have a lot of Perique flavors. Maybe after a couple years it's toned down. I haven't had it in a while. Just it like they said, absolute luxury. It is. It's a luxurious smoke. The way I like to smoke this is the coins are small enough in diameter that they fit right in the bowl without doing anything. They just drop in. It takes quite a few coins, and there's a lot of coins in that container. I'll take like 5 or 6 coins and rub them out. Just break them up rough cut. They turn into a real long ribbon. I would cut 5 or 6, break them up like that. And then I'll separate that into like 2 piles. And I'll take a pinch and put in the pipe to start with. And then put like 2 or 3 coins and push it down a little bit. Then get another pile of the broken up, put on top of that, push it down just lightly, very lightly. Then I'll take like 2 or 3 coins, and when you put them in, you sort of, instead of putting them on top of each other, overlap them. Put like 3 of them in there that are more or less overlapped. Put 3 or 4 or 5 coins in there. Take some more of that ribbon, put on top, push it down lightly. 3 or 4 or 5 more coins, put on top. Keep alternating until you fill the bowl. And then when it's almost full, I put 2 coins on top and then some ribbon on top of that. Then I give it its final press. I'll take my finger and push the whole pack and do the cold draw to make sure I didn't pack it too tight. And if it pushes down too far, I'll just put a coin on top of it. Then add fire. And then you have absolute luxury. And I mean, this stuff is good. This is probably one of the best vapors I've had by far. And it doesn't say vapor on there. It's just a Virginia spun cut with the forest honey. But I got to one of the coins there. I got to give it a little more fire. There we go. Even though I get that little tang of ketchup aroma in the tin, it never comes through in the smoke, in the flavors of the once lit. So now I'm going to tell you a little story about an airplane. I was early 20s, maybe even like 20 or 21. Recently married, had a young kid, a baby. My brother-in-law, I worked for him. My brother-in-law had his pilot license and he had bought an airplane. It was a 4-seater little Cessna. And I don't know more about it except for that. And I think they come in numbers like 110 or 220 or whatever they are. It doesn't even matter. Well, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, home of the Wright brothers. A lot of people consider it that area called the First Flight. Got many nicknames. First Flight, you know. They got the plane down there in the Wright Brothers Memorial and whatnot, all that good stuff. Well, anyway, my brother-in-law we were gonna be working on a Saturday. And when I got to the shop, he was like, man, it's such a beautiful day. He said, I'd like to just go flying. I'd never flown. I'd flown one time. We took the Norfolk tour when I was probably like 10, me and 2 of my cousins. And I could remember it kind of being fun because it'd been a long time. So I was thinking, well, if we're going to fly and it gets me out of working, then I'm all for it. Well, the Wright Brothers Memorial from where I lived was just a little over 2 hours. It was straight up 168 from Chesapeake, Virginia straight into the Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Outer Banks. It was just over 2 hours. So we go to the little airport where his plane was housed and whatnot. He does everything he's got to do, make the flight pattern, all that stuff and all, and I'm waiting out. He comes out, he gets in the plane, fires it up. It's loud. Very loud. If you ever been in one of them little planes. He checks the flaps, the rudders, everything, steering, everything checked out. We take off. We got up to 10,000 feet. I was scared shitless. I was scared to death being up in that plane. It wasn't fun like I'd remembered from the Norfolk tour. So when we're flying along, if we had to bank to the left, I made him, if we had to bank to the right, I made him go left. So when we turned, I wasn't there looking down. I would be the one. So it took us about an hour to fly down there. Maybe a little less than an hour. So, I mean, it cut the time in half, but you had no traffic, no nothing. Well, that plane was loud as hell, and we're up 10,000 feet, and it's just like, you can't hear, you can't talk to each other, you know. At that time, I was needing a cigarette to help calm me down. Couldn't smoke, everything, you know, couldn't open the windows, couldn't do, I mean, I felt like I was, he tells me, he said, if we lost power on the engine, we wouldn't fall out of the air. And I'm like, yeah, right. He reached over and cut the engine off. Now we're 10,000 feet in the air, and we're going, and we're like, all you could hear was a whistling sound of the wind cutting through, the wings cutting through the wind. I looked over at him and I said, you better start this MFer and start it now. And he just looked at me, and he could see the fear of God in my eyes. And he reached over and just turned the ignition, and he said, Wah! I was like, yeah, I don't know how long it would have taken us to fall to the ground, but I was going to beat your ass to death before we got there. You were going to be dead before we hit the ground. I can tell you that right now. Mess around with me like that, took 10,000 feet there, cut the engine off. Oh, hell no. So we get down there. We land at the airport. And I mean, it's a legit airport or landing field. Had a nice long landing strip and everything. We go coming in and get down to, well, his front nose wheel, it was like wobbly, I guess. So when we hit the ground, I thought we were breaking up. It was like, I mean, the plane was shaking and all, and we're like, He comes over to the stopping point, puts it over, rested over there. We get out. We walk over to the Wright brothers, to the memorial. Checked out everything, you know, looked at the plane and everything. We did the whole tourist thing so he could see it. He is from Canada, and he'd never been down to Kitty Hawk, and so I mean it was interesting for him. I'd went there on a school trip or a field trip, you know. I'd been there a couple times. It wasn't nothing major, nothing to me, because I'd already been there. He says, well, you ready to head on back? I was like, all right, sounds good. So we start walking across the field. The plane was over there. We sort of split off. and I'm walking this way. He said, the plane's over here. I was like, I know. He said, come on. I was like, yeah, I got it. He goes, oh, come on, the plane's over here. It's right there. I said, you're not getting me back in that goddamn plane, man. He looked at me and said, well, how you getting home? I said, I'm taking this and go out there and catching a ride. And that's what I did. I walked across the field and got out there on 168. It took me 4.5 hours to get home from a couple different rides and all the walking I did. But I wasn't getting back in that damn death trap plane. There ain't no way in hell you'd ever catch me back into that plane again. I still don't like flying. He flew us for work. He flew us from Norfolk International down to Atlanta, Georgia. And they had the audacity to take me off of one good flying plane that's already determined that it was a good flying plane because it made it to Charlotte. Made me get off a plane there, get on another plane and fly into Atlanta. Now, I don't know how cost effective that is instead of just putting me on a plane, flying me straight through. But they made me, well, a couple other people from work, but he flew us down there. That was the last time I ever flew. You won't get me on a plane again. I guarantee you that. It ain't happening. Yes, sir. There's a lot of things I do instead of flying. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story. Remember, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And with that being said, until next time, you know what to do. Stuff 'em and puff 'em.